Greetings to all my fellow watch enthusiasts on YouTube and Facebook and wherever else this video is being seen and shared. It's Saloon Driver once again. Wanted to do a video based on an inspiration I had after looking at some other videos from other folks and thinking, you know, that's really a nice looking watch here. That's really a great looking watch there. And I decided that I wanted to do a video of 10 watches from my personal collection. These are all watches that I own. None of these are sponsored watches. These are all from my personal collection. In some particular order of these watches would be what I consider to be the top 10 best looking watch faces of all the watches that I own. Now, all the watches I own are, in my opinion, they're really good looking watches. They all have their appeal to me in one way or the other. But these watches, to me, to my eyes, stand out in particular for you know, just the beauty of them, the visual appeal of the face. And let's face it, I mean, the movement decorations and so on in the back through exhibition cases, that's all well and good. Or, you know, maybe you have a solid case back with some very interesting engravings or stampings or carvings or something. And that's all well and good too. And you know, the bracelets and the straps, you know, they play their part too. But let's face it, the thing that we all see 90% of the time when we look at our watch is the face of the watch, you know, where the numbers is at, where the hands are pointing. And that's the instrument by which we gauge these watches. And I picked these 10 as the best of my collection, or some of the best of my collection. So I want to start here at 10, and then I'll work my way this way, and then back over this way, and eventually get over here to what I think is the best looking watch in my collection based on its face. Now, opinions will differ, of course, and certainly comment below there and tell me what you think of my rankings of these watches, and I encourage you to tell me about watches you think are particularly good looking. You know, give me brands, give me model numbers, and I'll go look them up, and I'll, you know, agree with you, or I'll disagree with you, or you can agree with me or disagree with me. Anyway, first watch I'm going to look at here is my Glace Combat Sub. This one was one I recently talked about in my Patience live stream as a watch that I chased for a good long time in this particular colorway. The blue face with the orange bezel insert, being that I am a very big fan of the Florida Gators. My favorite color is blue. My second favorite color is orange. I'm all about the orange and blue, whether together or separate. In this particular case, together. And it's just a beautiful watch overall. I mean, it's an automatic. It's very thin for an automatic. It's solidly built, fantastic solid bracelet. Double fold over clasp. It's you know, the overall presentation of the watch is fantastic, but the best part about it is that beautiful blue sunburst dial and that very, very nice orange bezel, and the combination is fantastic. I wear this watch a lot, especially during college football season. Right next to it, I have my Seiko Pogue. One of my more controversial watches. Every time this watch pops up on my channel, everyone likes it, but a few people amongst you out there will inevitably say to me, "That's not a Pogue." It's a Pogue. It's the right model number. It says so right on the back. It is there are different color combinations with not color combinations, but there are different chapter rings available in the gold faced Pogue. There are Pogues that say water resist, and there are some that don't. This happens to be one that doesn't. And we could argue ad infinitum about, is this a Pogue or not a Pogue? It's a Pogue. You know, as far as I'm concerned, it's a Pogue. I'm not trying to pass it off as something it isn't. If it isn't a Pogue and you can prove it to me, you're welcome to try. But since I'm not selling the watch anyway, it doesn't matter. My research satisfies me that this is a Pogue. And I love this gold sunburst face. I've not been a big yellow watch fan. I think this is only the second one I've ever owned that's yellow. The first one being a Doxa Diving Star, which I've long since sold. But I love the interplay of the chapter ring with the the black chapter ring offsetting the gold of the dial and the Pepsi bezel. Bringing it all together, and I love these vintage Seikos. As you probably know from my recent State of the Collection Seiko video, I have a very big affection for vintage Seikos. Next watch is one of my Zelos watches. Now, everyone in the world who watches my videos knows I am a shameless Zelos fan. And I love every Zelos I've ever owned. I have owned, overall, I think I've owned nearly 30 Zeloses. I've sold off quite a few. You know, people make me offers. There are some that I didn't wear very often. I raised money to buy other Zeloses. So there is no, obviously a good chunk of this top 10 are Zelos watches. This is one of the more popular ones out there. The first generation swordfish. You can tell it's first generation from the first generation clasp on the bracelet. This is a swordfish, as I said. This is the aquamarine watch face. It was very popular. Didn't make a lot of them. I managed to snag one. I was very happy to do that. I love the fact that the aquamarine dial is the star of the show. The bezel, while being a fantastic bezel in action, is, as you can see, the same stainless steel color as the rest of the watch case and the bracelet. And it makes the aquamarine face stand out very nicely. I'm also a very big fan of squally. I have 3 of them. This is one of them. Whoops, upside down. Sorry about that. This is the 1521 Azul. This is the first squally I ever bought. This one was the watch I saw on the Urban Gentry channel. TGV featured this watch very prominently, and convinced me that I needed to own one of these. And this bezel never really lined up very well. I'm going to have to deal with that. But the blue is fantastic. I've never seen a blue like this before. I've not seen one on another watch quite like it. And again, a beautiful sunburst, nice case. I mean, the whole watch is spectacular, but that blue is just something that it looks good on video, but in person it's even more spectacular. Another Zelos, and comes in at number 6. This is my beloved Spitfire. This is the watch that, this is the one of one. Never made it, never produced it, probably never will. The one I bought, basically, I bought off of Elshin's wrist, in a way. This is the one where the watch face is metal from a Spitfire World War II fighter plane. I love the history of that. I love the fact that I own a piece of World War II history, and we all know that it was the Spitfire and the abilities of that plane that helped turn the tide in early World War II during the Battle of Britain. The Spitfire was a spectacular aircraft for its age, and it's a beautiful watch. I mean, I love the fact that in the other ZX lines, I don't believe that Elshin did the subdials that are the chronograph subdials are aligned in red to match the red of the chronograph hand, whereas the minute and hour hands and the constant seconds subdial are ringed in gold, and the second hand for the constant seconds subdial is also gold, so you can easily differentiate the two functions, and that is a fantastic watch. A really good looking watch. An even better looking Zelos watch was their fully skeletonized Skyraider. This is a manual wind watch. You can see no rotor back there, and you can see them, as a matter of fact, this watch, because it's beautiful from the front and the back, deserves to have the back looked at. You can see how beautifully decorated that watch is. All kinds of different finishes, and the blued screws and the jewels. And you can see the entire drivetrain front and rear. There's really nothing getting in the way of your view of this watch, and that makes this one obviously a spectacular watch face, but also unique, spectacular watch case back as well. So just a beautiful watch. Really enjoy wearing that one when I do. Another Squally 1521. This is the Onda, which means wave. And this is the Laguna. There are different Ondas. There's one that's more purplish with both black and silver bezels, and I think there's one other whose color escapes me at the moment, but I picked this one up about a little over a year ago. I just love that kind of blue, well, there's a hint of blue in it, but mostly green dial. This will be my St. Patrick's Day watch. Just a beautiful watch overall. It not too big, but just interplays nicely with the other one. This one, I guess you could say, is a little more conservative, but just a beautiful greenish dial. Nice bezel that's subtle yet effective. It makes the face the star of the show. But for pure elegance in a watch and in a watch face, you cannot find much better than a Grand Seiko Snowflake. Look at you can see in the light, hopefully the camera's picking that up. It's picking it up in my eyes anyway. The texture of that dial, like the texture of a snowdrift, and the incredibly high polish on the hands, the blued second hand, the polished indices. From what I understand, there are specific gentlemen who do nothing in the Grand Seiko factory, except used special diamond tools to polish the indices and those sword-like hands. That's all they do. They spend years honing their craft to make that polish to that level. And it's just one of the most spectacular, one of the most elegant watch faces that you'll ever encounter. I mean, you could spend 3, 4, 10 times the price of one of these watches and not see the quality of the finish, not only in the face, but the case as well. It's just a spectacular watch. And this, by the way, is polished titanium, not stainless, not precious metal. To get that kind of polish out of titanium takes a skill level that none of us will ever have. Last Zelos on the table is my Horizon GMT with the aventurine dial. This was only available to folks who are members of the Facebook Zelos Timekeepers group. If you were a member of that, you were given a special web address and password, and you could unlock this watch. And if you were one of 100 folks, you could buy it. And it's just a spectacular sparkling effect. I mean, no matter what angle you look at it as, it just jumps off the watch. And it's just I mean, I ran out of superlatives to come up with describing this watch. But in terms of watch face, this has got to be the best Zelos watch I've ever encountered. It's just beautiful. But my very favorite watch face of my entire collection, hands down, is my Breitling Navigator. I love the Breitling Navigator. I always have loved this one. The first time I ever saw one, it was actually in a jewelry store. I think it was a jewelry store down in Fort Myers or Naples. Sorry, I was down there with my folks, and my father went into several watch shops that day, and I went into one of them and with him and saw a Navigator for the first time, and I became obsessed. I said, I will own one. My dad said, he made crass remarks about how busy the dials are. He doesn't particularly like Breitling himself. And that's fine. Different strokes for different folks, as it were. But I love the Navigator. I love I'm particularly partial, obviously, to the blue dial. I love the interplay of the dial color with the contrasting colors of the subdials that really makes them pop. This particular one, being the Twin 60, was a 1-year only production. I love the numbers. The numerals are of a particular. I don't know what the style is. It's just a different style from every other Navigator that I encountered. The bezel, the bezel works beautifully, and being a white bezel against that blue watch face offsets nicely. Little spots of red in the bezel ring. A little bit of red on the chrono second hand. Just the Breitling logo, the Breitling lettering, everything about this watch is just spectacular to me. And to me, this is the best watch face that I have in my collection. So I'm very happy that I was able to find. I wasn't even looking for that particular Navigator, but I found it quite by accident. Very happy with it. So that's it. These are my top 10 best looking watch faces that are in my collection. Now, I'm sure There are, and I mean, just taking other collections I've seen as an example, I've seen a gorgeous, I also featured that watch on my channel, a gorgeous Ulysses Nardine Sonata is a beautiful watch face, beautiful dress watch. Would be in this grouping easily, but you know, obviously don't own that watch, so I'm not including it. The Rolex Milgauss with the blue face with the green tinted crystal is a gorgeous watch to look at. Let's see. There are so many different Pateks out there that are beautiful watches, beautiful works of art, and beautiful mechanical timepieces. Don't own one, so I can't really compare it. So that's mine. These are my top 10 for my collection. So let me know what you think down in the comment section. As I said, questions, comments, suggestions, I read them all. I respond to them all. Start a conversation with me about one of the watches that's in your collection you think is as good as or better, if you think they're better. Let's hear from you on that one. But if you get nasty or negative, I'll delete the comment and I'll block you. Give me a thumbs up if you like the video. Thumbs up helps me out, helps out with the algorithms and the searches, makes my channel a little bit more searchable out there in the watch community. If this is your first time coming to my channel, definitely welcome. I'm glad you're here. And if you're been here before but you haven't subscribed yet, or you're new here, please click the subscribe button and then click the bell icon next to that to be alerted when I upload new content. Thank you for stopping by today, watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.